In 1808, a new president is elected, and it's going to be James Madison. He runs against the Federalist known as Charles Pinckney. He basically gets about 3 times as many electoral votes as his rival does. But the first thing he does, he's going to rescind this embargo, this disastrous embargo. He's going to repeal it in what's known as Macon's Bill Number 2. It basically officially cancels out the embargo, but it does actually say, we can still bring it about if necessary. But under Madison, we have the beginnings of the War of 1812, and in fact, in the early first term of his presidency, we see the rise of a new political generation, one that we're going to be dealing with a lot until the 1850s. And this new generation is going to be called the War Hawks. These are young anti-English politicians, most notably Henry Clay and John Calhoun. Henry Clay is from Kentucky, John Calhoun is from South Carolina. They're going to enter Congress in 1810, and they are basically going to start steering Congress to threat of war, particularly against Britain, because it's during this time that they're going to have Indian resistance on the frontiers, and this hate, and it's going to, of course, spark hatred against the Native Americans, and this hatred, along with expansionist pressures, an agricultural depression, and impatience with the economic coercion against the British, it's going to naturally push the United States more and more into an antagonistic relationship with the British. Although young and inexperienced, these congressmen are quite influential, and there's about 40 of them that enter Congress. The most notable are going to be Calhoun and Clay. But nonetheless, they are going to start pushing the United States closer and closer to war, and eventually we're going to see that the United States does declare war. Madison is reluctant to fight another war against Britain, but he ultimately agrees. And one of the reasons why that the United States goes to war against Britain is against the British policy of impressments, of British warships attacking American ships, taking civilian sailors and forcing them into service in the Royal Navy. This is what's known as impressments. And so in June of 1812, the Congress declares war for the very first time, and they do so against England. The funny thing about it is that unfortunately, there was no instant news. There was no MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, and whatnot. And unfortunately, if they had just waited, they would have learned that the British actually got rid of the impressment policy. So they get rid of the impressment policy, and suddenly the American declaration of war arrives. But nonetheless, it doesn't stop the United States from fighting the War of 1812.